This is Tropico, September 2025. This sunlit Caribbean island is covered with sprawling modern mansion complexes as far as the eye can see. Now, you may be expecting me to pan over to the great underbelly, the tenements, the shoddy flop houses, but here's the thing. These mansions are not for the elites. They're for the average Tropican. And I didn't give them away either. The economy is simply so strong that 2/3 of citizens are actually rich enough to afford them. The rest live in comfortable houses or modern apartments. Education is widespread. 95% report high life satisfaction. The Tropico I run is the most egalitarian, prosperous society on planet Earth. And I built it without cheats, exploits, or even a single stolen landmark. Today, I'll show you a formula you can follow to do the same. And it all starts with the wisdom of a great and famous American when he said, "Ask not what you can do for your..." The first thing I want you to do with this beautiful, untouched country is to build a tannery and 3 cattle ranches. You might be confused. Every guide ever will tell you that rum and blanks are the undisputed colonial cash kings. These people are right. They are good for the treasury. Number go up. But tanneries are good for the principle that matters more than anything else in this run. Raise the average Tropican wage. To do that, go into every single type of building and control-click the last cash icon at the end of the budget bar. That one little click raises the building's budget. You directly pay the workers more, and they work harder for it. Every building must be seen as part of a chain, and the chain is only as strong as its lowest paid worker. Rum relies on 2 sugar plantations. That is 16 poor workers for just 4 well-off distillers. Maximum budgets will actually make everybody just barely jump up 1 class, but it's still stuck at a $13 average. Lumber's worse, capped at $12 and nobody's even rich. But a tannery, that's the big one. 3 ranches feeding 1 tannery averages $14 across the whole chain. Higher wages across the board. All that in mind, leather flowed out of the country. And even though this was not the optimal way to make money, poverty was kept low. And honestly, I have to remind you, all 3 of these industries, rum, lumber, and leather, are all technically right answers. They are all processed goods, and they build a strong Tropican middle class. Now, let's go over the wrong answers. Plantations. Yeah, sure, build a bunch of plantations if you want to be the presidente of Broke Island. Even worse, coal mining. Coal miners earn exactly the same as gold miners, so if you're going to build mines, at least make them gold. But the absolute bottom of the barrel, coconuts. Don't build a coconut harvester, guys. They don't sell well and your workers are guaranteed to live in poverty. The commonality between all of them is that they don't contribute to a chain. But before we declare independence, we need to talk about what I call magic edicts. Every new era brings with it an edict that is so essential to this run that enacting it basically works like magic. This era's magic edict, child allowances. For a small fee, the state takes care of the children, making all families overall more wealthy. Also, build 1 or 2 more Teamster offices. They transport stuff around. Build an extra one basically whenever you feel like it. Put this all into effect, and you'll see you've escaped the colonial era with poverty nearly absent from your island. World Wars! The World Wars era is basically the colonial era, but more industries, more ways to build a first world Tropico. Now, among all of your options, none of them are bad, but you've got 2 standouts, steel and textiles. Steel first. For just 10 miners, you can support 8 high school educated workers. Huge, because schools don't mean anything if graduates can't find high school level jobs at the end. No jobs, no students. Steel fixes that. Pickaxe guys to factory guys are just about even. Now, textiles. This is the one that I picked. It works beautifully with the magic edict of this era. Agricultural subsidies. 2 ranches suddenly do the work of 3. And llama ranches even better. They get a special building upgrade unique to only the llama ranch. Once you've stacked a maxed budget, agricultural subsidies, and the unique building upgrade, only 6 workers are suddenly required to do the work of 12. You've doubled worker productivity in the fields. Fewer people in the fields, more in the factories. You are industrializing. And don't forget the edict that actually is called industrialization. For a small fee up front, it halves the cost of factories, but only for a short while. You make a profit every time you basically place more than 2 textile mills in a row. You were gonna do that anyway. The elites don't want you to know this, but the textile mills from the store are free. You can just take them. I have 6. For a second industry though, try the cannery. It looks like it only needs fish and pineapples. But for another small fee, you can take meat as an input. Now where on earth would you find meat? Oh, your cattle ranches from earlier that were pumping out leather can now be used to pump out meat. With agricultural subsidies, they can pump meat even harder. Shit. Okay, just don't build them too early. They need power. Once you've done all that, crank your factory budgets to max and industrial workers jump to the rich class. They start living in mansions, paying you rent, even creating the first filthy rich Tropicans once you get the banks running. Every new link pushes the whole island upward. But even if you've done everything perfectly, a World War level economy simply depends on a lower class. Clerks, drivers, and the biggest group, adult students. They cannot make an income, and you can't support them until the Cold War. The Cold War unlocks our next magic edict, Social Security. For a tiny fee, adult students get free money. They jump from broke to poor to even well off. Just like that, your biggest source of poverty, gone. Outside of that, this era kind of sucks. Most of the good stuff is locked behind the modern era. You've got 3 ways to get there. Steal a landmark, build a nuke, or complete the tourism quest. I skipped the landmarks and nukes for roleplay reasons, so tourism it is. Here's the trick. Build a tourism port. Build 1 hotel, then completely ignore tourism. Don't actually build a tourism infrastructure because it lowers the average Tropican wage. Instead, lean on luxury entertainment for your already rich population. Casinos, snorkel bays, and especially gourmet restaurants. They make you money and provide high salary, high school jobs. These buildings don't rely on chains, they rely on traffic, so build metro stations. Tropico treats them exactly like teleporters. And hey, these new buildings incidentally attract tourists. And while we're here, this era gives you some unethical ways to make money that don't actually hurt the run, so you can just get away with them. Set all of your media to sponsored content and just farm cash. Put brought to you by Carl's Jr. in the Constitution and they'll pay you every time you say it. If you're so smart, why don't you know that? Those metro stations increase crime, so arrest the criminals, stick them in a prison with forced labor turned on, and watch profits pour in. Add a courthouse for bonus money on every inmate. Even colleges can make you cash. Flip their mode from brain cells to brain cells, and send Tropicans abroad, collecting remittances. Ironically though, most of the Cold War era is just stalling. Simply wait, consolidate. Rapid expansion comes in the next era. The tourism quest will auto-complete, allowing you to move on to the modern era. In the modern era, everything happens. In fact, you could have done everything wrong in all of the previous eras and you can still turn things around here. Look, when I said earlier that most of the good stuff was locked behind the modern era, I meant exactly one building, the office. This building should not exist. It hires college grads, pays them well, and spits out free money. And with work modes, they scale off of everything from employed Tropicans, Tropicans in government jobs, intellectuals, you name it. Introducing then, this stupid thing, this mess of offices I have the audacity to call a central business district. A dozen offices are dedicated to each work mode. Then comes the final magic edict. Tax haven. It boosts office profits at the cost of totally inconsequential foreign relations. Flip your courthouse to business law for an extra $50 per office while you're at it. Okay, there are diminishing returns on building new offices at some point along the curve. But honestly, who cares? You're providing college level, high salary jobs. Every office worker is one new rich Tropican. You can also fill out those offices faster by flipping your immigration office to skilled workers. You can't build an economy entirely out of offices though. Editing Mars here, turns out you basically can. I must have misremembered it, but for the first 25 years of the modern era, I did nothing but build offices. So introducing the greatest manufacturing opportunity of all time. Sugar pills! Here's how that works. Tropico tracks job quality. Dirty jobs like manure spreading have low job quality, and clean, cushy jobs have high job quality. The pharmaceutical company has the highest job quality of any industry in the game. Now normally, it runs on oil wells, which have low-wage, dirty jobs, plus pollution everywhere. However, switching to the powerful placebo's work mode allows you to accept sugar instead. And in the modern era, you unlock hydroponic plantations, which have high-quality, high-school jobs. With 2.5 plantations feeding one pharmaceutical company, you can create an empire entirely based on placebo pills, creating more rich Tropicans in the process. In fact, it might be worth demolishing those textile mills and tanneries from earlier to raise job quality. Also, because for some reason, goods from previous eras become worth slightly less every time a new era passes. And the game never tells you this, by the way. Now, all of those rich Tropicans need places to spend their money. So stack more luxury entertainment, gourmet restaurants, modern art museums. Here's the kicker. Both are staffed by rich Tropicans too, so it's not the poor serving the rich anymore, it's the rich serving the rich. A perfect feedback loop. And of course, these rich people need somewhere opulent to live. Enter the modern mansion. But here's where it gets kind of funny. Communist dissent. You see, every faction reacts to what you build on your island. Environmentalists hate oil, capitalists love banks, and communists, they hate mansions, they hate gourmet restaurants, and they probably hate the modern art museum too. Even if literally everyone's rich, they are still, in an absolutely boneheaded move, are coded to hate it. So, they'll fire off an emergency demand, like setting the constitution to total surveillance, threatening a worker strike if you don't. Do not give in. Let the demand time out, or hell, decline it on your own terms. At the start of the era, flip all of your media to the capitalist mode to minimize the effect of a strike, because the alternative is way worse. That's enough for me. Thank you guys for listening to the very end of this video. Be sure to check out my other stuff, or wait for me to make more stuff like this. I probably will if you like and subscribe. Let me know if you liked it.